I'd like to start this case study with analyzing my responsive approach to a situation that occurred during my very first year as a professional. I had a white sixth grade student post a TikTok where she was singing along and she had mouthed the N word. This video was posted publicly, and several of our eighth grade black students had seen it. As a response, they were coming to a completely different part of the building where they should not have been, to intimidate the sixth grader. In the readings this week, I wrote down a quote that I felt really connected to the situation. It's that increasingly inappropriate behavior is a consequence of loss of connectedness. So the initial student posting the video, there was no connectedness between her and our black students, and there was no connection with the students who were impacted and the person who initiated the behavior because they were openly threatening her. In this situation, I feel like I have two main goals, two priorities. The first is to deepen an understanding of the sixth grader in her understanding of racial oppression and slurs and macroaggressions. The second goal is assessing the needs of the eighth graders and any other students who were impacted by the video and repairing the fabric of our school community. So the very first question is who's impacted? I would want to offer any impacted students, particularly those eighth grade students who were coming by the sixth graders classroom, an opportunity for a structured support circle to manage tension, understand harm, and have them voice concern. I would plan for the sixth grader to have one-on-one education and reflection through the restorative questions. I would like to start with, what do you think the N-word means? In what context have you heard it? In what context did you mean it? And really fully understand where she's coming from. This is important for her to feel like her humanity is being recognized, and that would be inappropriate to do in front of a full group. It would also be inappropriate to put all of these students together given the threat of violence and the lack of understanding from the sixth grader. If mutual understanding could be reached in the two separate interventions, the support circle and then the one-on-one education, then we could fishbowl or do a peacemaking circle so that the sixth grader could receive feedback on her behavior and actions, and together we could all repair the situation. It would be incredibly important if a peacemaking circle were to happen, or really any of this process, that the black and brown students' enthusiastic consent for participation would be elicited. Forcing these students to engage in the process without talking to their families, without getting their input, would just be further harm piled on top of the situation. It would be really important to brainstorm reintegration strategies that all the students felt were appropriate and carefully considered. The other incredibly important aspect to this approach would be the follow-up. So following up is so important to make sure that everybody is abiding by the plan and we're staying in the structure so that everybody knows what to expect. Because if the plan were to be betrayed, then the whole process really should have been thrown out, and it would be a waste of time. When a student is using racial slurs and not understanding their implication, the ripple effect that can have throughout an entire school community is unfathomable if you're not consistently following up, engaging temperature, and figuring out what needs to be done. For the second case study, the proactive approach, we're going to pretend like my school is implementing peer mediation. So we're going to start training students to handle conflict for their peers to alleviate the burden on support staff members. So the very first thing that I think of in a school when there is a new initiative that's rolled out is the thought of teachers, oh God, what more do I have to do now? How is my day going to change? Do I have to lose prep time? Am I going to lose instructional time? So I'm going to want to immediately circle up in a non-sequential way so that certain staff members who are maybe more comfortable sharing their own thought process can start the circle. Those more hesitant staff members can listen, consider, and then share if they feel comfortable. It would be helpful if some were excited about the initiative, that they could share that, and other staff members could see that they have potential allies. It would feel impossible to have one circle with all staff. I think it would be important to mix up departments so that interpersonal dynamics between people in one department wouldn't influence this process. This would create a need for other circle keepers with similar values and a similar approach so that it's as uniform as possible among the groups. I would want administration to not be a part of this circle because so many staff members don't trust their administrators and they're afraid to be authentic and honest because there could be a consequence out of that. I would record keep notes that would be important to share with administration that would be transparently shared at the end of the circle. Confidentiality should be protected. This whole process is just a way to build trust between staff members to know that they are supported, that they're on similar pages. In planning for a non-sequential trust-building circle, it would be really important to not have too many questions, to not direct people's feelings, but more leave it as open canvases for people to share how they feel. A good example of a question would be if it's a school that uses the mood meter, for example, sharing what zone, how much energy, how much pleasantness that you feel this initiative could bring. I think that if staff members felt a circle facilitator, a circle keeper was guiding or leading the process in any particular way, that would lose trust, which would essentially render the circle a waste of time.